My name is Stella Waldbrasi, and I have with me IJ, my one and only co-host.
Hi guys, welcome to Every Woman.
We are excited. So before we just start up with the show, IJ, I think we should watch this video.
It's the Cowbellpedia 60 Seconds of Fame. You have 60 seconds to give me as many correct answers as possible. You've done very well so far. Speed and accuracy is very key. Be calm, but be very fast. Faith Odunsi, are you ready for your Cowbellpedia 60 Seconds of Fame?
Yes, please, Master.
I wish you all the best. Your Cowbellpedia 60 Seconds of Fame starts now. What is the square?
64.
Correct. Multiply 1/3 by
5/6.
Correct. What is or are the prime
2.
factors? Correct. The cost of price of a gas cylinder is 8,000.
24,000.
Correct. What is the 7?
28.
Correct. What is the sum of the prime numbers between 1 and 5?
10.
Correct. Convert 70% to a
7/10.
Correct. Express 0.000.
2.4 times 10 is by minus 5.
Correct. Convert 4.
0.8.
Correct. Approximate 5 to 5.
530.
Correct. Simplify 10 to the minus 4.
0.00001.
Incorrect. What is the square root of the product of 4 and 9?
6.
Correct. How many hours are there from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. on the same day?
6.
Correct. Simplify minus 17 plus minus 8 plus minus 10.
Minus 35.
Correct. How many prime numbers is
1.
Correct. Find the value of 60 minus 70 minus 40.
30.
Correct. Find the HCF of 8.
8.
Correct. Evaluate the square root of 6 bracket 4
6.
plus 2. Correct. Find the product of minus 4 and minus
24.
6. Correct. Evaluate 25 minus minus 30.
55.
Correct. Wow. How many times did you practice for 60 seconds of fame?
I don't know.
Was it a lot or very little?
A lot.
I can tell. You might be breaking a record. Well done, Faith.
All right. So I'm smiling and I'm laughing because we're seeing young children who are really eager to learn, who are very smart and intelligent and making their parents and the society at large proud. But gone are the days where we have kids like this being celebrated. The society has deteriorated to the point where our priorities or our definition of values have changed.
Yeah.
It has really changed, and that will bring us to what we're talking about today: moral decadence. I know someone will say, I mean, while approaching 2023 elections, why are we talking about? Why are they talking about moral decadence? But you forget that this is the foundation to which you build a society.
That's why we're here, really. I mean,
this is a platform where we get to tell you, we get to showcase. It's open. It's a platform where we get to educate, share with you what is there, what people are going through, or what is happening in the outer world. Because at the end of the day, truth be told, at the end of the day, someone will say they're talking about moral decadence. How does it affect 2023 elections? It does.
Let me tell you how it affects 2023 elections, because we have people. I mean, we had the rally in Kaduna where thugs attacked, PDP supporters. In 2023, as with other elections that we've seen some level of electoral violence. Are you asking how moral decadence you are asking how moral decadence affects 2023 election, affects Nigerians and Nigeria as a whole? Well, the reason we have people who are willing to go out and attack other people for patriotism is because of moral decadence, because they don't understand. And I mean, that's just one aspect of it. At the end of the day, these people are going to be governing human beings. They're not going to be governing animals. And you need the people that you're governing to, to really understand, to work together, because it's a social contract. It's a partnership between you. And I mean, Elijah Abubakar has also brought out his social contract with Nigerians. So you need the people that you're making. It affects everybody. It also affects the kind of candidates that we are choosing. It determines the kind of supporters that we are. Are we the kind of supporters that go online and cause violence online? Are we those kind of supporters? Or are we the kind of supporters that follow due process and are going to work with, whoever our candidate is to ensure that things are done rightly? Is your candidate also the kind of candidate that has drug charges hanging over his head? Are they the kind of people that are going to enforce moral decadence in our society? Are they the kind of people that are supporters, that are sympathizers to the degradation of moral and values in our society?
You've actually hit the nail on the head, because when you talk about leaders who are encouraging social degradation and moral decadence, you've said it all at the end of the day. Because at the end of the day, when I was watching that video, while we're watching the video, I'm like, do we still have kids who are really we have them. But what have actually been done? What have been put in place to make sure that these kids are being showcased? How did we miss it? Where did we miss it?
Encourage
How
them?
did we encourage? How did we swap our
Values.
our values?
Because looking at this video, do these kids look like people who are going to collect 10,000 naira to sell their votes? Do they look like people who are going to take up machetes and weapons tomorrow to attack people? Do they look like people who are going to burn down people's villages? Like the kids that are causing the problems. They don't look like the children that have grown into the people, the adults that are causing the problems that we have in our society. So this is where it really starts from. It starts with us addressing the moral issues that we are facing and how slowly we are breeding delinquents, how slowly we are losing our values, we're losing everything that makes us who we are.
Yes, and losing in talking about losing our values, it has spread out to us losing humanity, the love for humanity. Because if you love the next person, or if you see the next person as yourself, you will not for any second or for a chance think of robbing or killing that person without even blinking, irrespective of how much you're being paid for that. What am I saying? You won't even be in that space where you're being paid to carry out an attack on the next person. We will not have issues like kidnaps. We will not have issues like different violence we're experiencing right now.
Yeah.
If our morals have been, I mean, Nigeria is. Someone said something and it's really funny, but it's true. So Nigeria is the only country where you have high rates of religion on both parties. You have high number of Christians, you have high number of Muslims, you have high number of traditional practitioners or traditional worshippers. Do you understand? All of these people are here. What are these religions teaching you? Morals. Be nice to one another. Love one another. Be fair to humanity. Make sure you see the next person as yourself. So if we have this high level of religion in Nigeria, how come?
It's
Why
not
did we miss it?
translating to good, positive attitudes.
How was it swapped? Well, how did we get politics involved? Because at the end of the day, everything is politics. How did we get politics involved?
Start playing politics with our
morals.
religions, with our morals, really. And then you look at it, it's really a top to bottom thing. It starts from the top all the way down to the bottom. It's like when you see police officers or you see security operatives who are on the road, who are collecting bribes on the road or collecting a gunje, and you see these people on the road collecting that thing, and you want to start with them, but it's not from them, because there's somebody who has posted them there for this purpose. They've been sent there to collect this money.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they are reporting to somebody who is going to ask them, how much did you make today? Where's, and then all the way up.
Yeah.
All the way up.
So this moral decadence thing is from top to bottom or from bottom to top.
Yeah,
at the end of the day, I just, while you were talking about police officers, I just remembered the immigration guys, the guys at the airport. I have never been embarrassed when you're flying out of local trips in Nigeria. Have you seen? And some of them make this like it is our right that you have to give us tip. I mean, why is it called a tip? Is it because I have to do it at my free will? Oh, you did an amazing job. Oh, I love the way you look. Oh, you smelled very well. Oh, you attended to me very well. Oh, so take this. Not you telling me, if you don't give me tip, I'll leave your bag behind, or I will set your bag. It has become a problem. And everybody, Nigerians were very used to we're very used to adjusting to however we find ourselves, whether good or bad. It has become a norm. And everybody is saying, like, it's a normal thing, give them now.
It's not normal. Let's stop normalizing rubbish. It's not normal. And
it's unethical.
To tell you how bad this is, the current president of Nigeria came on the mandate of one of his
mandate of change
fighting. He was going to fight corruption. What is corruption?
No,
is it not a delinquency? Is it not a breakdown of morals? That's what it is. Corruption is a breakdown of morals, and that is what you came in. I'm not going to talk about whether or not you have achieved that, but the first thing, I think, rather than even trying to attack, the first thing would have been to go into the roots. What are the root causes? Why is this moral decadence here? Why is this corruption here? What's wrong? Because if you can't solve a problem by addressing the effects, you address the cause. That's way to solve a problem. And I think it was so much emphasis. There was so much emphasis on the effect. We're going to stop corruption. We're going to stop corruption. And then you forgot that there's something that brings about corruption. That's where you go to. And that's why I like the policies of Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. That's why I like the policies. because they affect some of the things that bring about these things, this negative, things that we are seeing now that we don't want to see. Now you go to education, because that's where it really starts from. That's the bedrock of every society. To that, yeah. That's where it comes from. You come to education, where you come to a place where, an institution where something as simple as write an exam and pass is a big problem. And then you have half-bred graduates, people that graduate from school and don't know a thing.
Some of them are not half-baked, because at the end of the day, you see that there's been a huge collapse in discipline, in intellect, in training. And in training here, I mean in the four walls of the classroom. Because I think when I went to school, when I was in school, I had classmates who were basically like myself. What was our focus? Go to school, come out with a degree, read. It became a banter. It was like, in fact, I think it built a healthy self-esteem. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, oh, you know this thing, oh, I know this thing. We're bantering, and oh, you said this, I don't know it. I'll bring it up by tomorrow.
Because I want to know.
You understand? But these days, you run interviews, you're running auditions, you're calling for casting calls, and you're hearing half-baked sentences, and you ask, did you go to school? Did you study this?
I've heard the most ridiculous things. I've had the most ridiculous things with students, and I was reading. I remember reading at that point, and then I came across I was reading with a group of friends. I came across one interesting information. I was going to share with my friends, and somebody said to me, they're not going to ask this one in exam. They've not taught us. I'm like, I'm not reading this for exams. I'm reading this because I want to know, because it's something that relates to what I'm studying, and I want to know, because at the end of the day, I'm not competing with any of you here. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not competing with any of the lecturers. You're competing with people around the world who've studied these things that you're studying. And if you hope to make innovation, then you must not stay in that box that, this is the things that have been taught. There's a lot to, and then a lot of people are going to schools now with the mindset that I just want to go and collect paper and come out.
Somebody said this collapse of discipline in schools starts from the lecturers. Lecturers have been asking for money for grades, sex for grades. We've had these issues, I think 2 years ago or last year.
Where there was a documentary that came out about that.
For sex for grades with lecturers. And at the end of the day, you make it look like students or pupils, or students basically, who go to read for their exams are wasting their time. Because by the time they finish reading, they come and you ask them for money for grades, or you ask them for sex for grades.
And when you now sleep with somebody to give the person a pass, or you take money and give the person a pass, when they come out, what does that say about your institution?
Because you're the ambassador of
at the point, I'm going to say everybody that comes out from so school, forget about that one. There's nothing in their head. True. Because that's what you've done. Anybody that goes to so department, nothing in their head.
You said something and it made me laugh, because I remember when I was serving in Benue State, and we're in camp, and people were actually, we got to a point where people were interacting before we had the whole parade. And we're like, oh, did you go to this school? Which school did you go to? And then you see the students who went to private universities. They were like, oh, I went to private universities. Oh, I went to public universities. And, oh, you went to this school, you went to this school. You could literally differentiate from school to school. Which school did you go to? Oh, this was my lecturer. Oh, we did this. It's just like when you find yourself in a midst of theater art students. I'm not even talking about this present generation theater art students. I'm talking about theater art students that graduated from, let me put the benchmark at 2016. Do you understand? You see the way they interact. There is an interaction. There is a knowledge that is being shared. You know that these people actually studied, actually went to school. I had an opportunity to be in a recruitment body where we're actually recruiting for accountants, and we had this girl who came in. She graduated, studied accounting, but she doesn't know how to use Excel.
I mean.
At that point, I lost it. I'm like, okay, so you. The funny part of it, she didn't even know it was now sarcasm. Like, this was now like, you went to school, where did you go? Because it became a problem. We had to ask, when did you graduate? Which school did you go to? Which department? Who was your lecturer? Who was your HOD? We had to ask those questions, because at the end of the day, going to is becoming bad.
Terrible. And if this is if at that level, I mean, I had now that I was listening to a conversation. I've had a conversation with a couple of secondary school kids, and one was saying they are going to sort for. I was like, people are sorting in secondary schools now. That's what you people are doing now. You are sorting. And then
why would we have issues?
What are you sorting with bread, with your snacks? What are you sorting? Like, it didn't make sense to me. Like, who does that? And that's how far gone we are.
You see why a lot of work needs to be done.
There's a lot with the video. You know when I think during the COVID era where we had the Benefit Boys video coming out, and then you sit back and wonder how is this a priority? Because somehow we are in a race. Everybody is suddenly in a race to make money. Who is buying the latest Benz? Who is doing this one? Who is doing that one? And what it has done is that we've taken our priorities, we've shifted our values, we've shifted our goals, and we've said education is no longer important. What with ASU going on strike and the federal government not even budging, you've reinforced that idea that education really means nothing. And then somebody is thinking last school na scam. That's the kind. Let's face it. That's the society that we are living in.
But actually, if you look at it, I think we've talked about it. I've talked about this. We've talked about this when we're looking at education. If you look at it, in Nigeria, people are not given the opportunity to practice what they study. I mean, Ajay, you studied something different from media. Let it be a different case that, okay, I studied this and then I went to do an advanced training or went to do an extra study or 2 years postgraduate study on this particular sector or this particular course, then come back to practicing it. I have seen someone who studied zoology as a bank manager. And
I say this, but I think, first off, because we don't have a lot of people don't even know why they are going to school. Let us face it. I had somebody in my department, and I was in biological sciences. Somebody who was in computer science at the time, a lady who had no business, absolutely no business being in computer science. I say this with my full chest. She had no business. This girl would have been better off in the theater art because that was what I saw her. I saw her doing all this, and I said, has nobody told you that you're in the wrong place? I had half of the people in my department had no business being in that department. And I tell you this because I interact with them and say, like, this is not where you should be. Now, the sad thing is that some of them even chose the courses by themselves. That's the sad thing. Some were forced, some chose it by themselves. Now, this is what we need to do, first of all, because a lot of people are forced into schools. And it's not just about formal education. There's informal education. I was talking with somebody, one of the drivers who came to get me the other day, and I was talking to him and said, he's just going to school so he can get the paper that he knows what he wants to do. Like, if you know what you want to do, why are you staying 4 years in the school or 5 years? Why are you paying all these fees? Why? I mean, why? He said it's the paper. I said if it's the paper that you want, you can get certified online. We are living in a digital society. You want to go into Forex? There's no formal course for that in a school. You can't find that. Dude, go online. Get certified. Practice what you're doing. I mean, I told him there are people like Innocent. There are people that don't have any formal degree and they're making, they have been able to make something for themselves. You don't need to go to the 4 walls of a university. Education is important, but where we miss it is that we believe that it must be formal education. It must not be formal. You can get informal education. Even the formal education, it's now broken down. In places like the UK, you can even translate, you can have your experiences. You can have your experience rather. Translated, if you want to go to study, they can look at your experience and say, okay, you qualify to get this program, to get into this program. So even if you don't have an academic degree, you can use your experience in so many years, how many years of experience to get, because these are things that are recognized. So you don't have to, and people just feel under a lot of pressure to know what you want, the priorities. These children have grown up with the wrong values. So as little as 7, 8, you've started monitoring your child. You know what the interest of the child is. Within the institution of the school, it is also the job of the teachers to monitor that student and know, oh, this child does not like maths. They do terribly in maths, but these other subjects are. Do you get? And so you start shaping from there. And I think at some point, you now get to switch between arts and science. At that point, this is why we have things like guidance counselors. You sit down with the child, you look at their records, you discuss with the child and say, oh, I think, the person says, I want to do medicine. I'm like, well, I know you want to do medicine. Why do you want to do medicine? But your results are also showing that maybe medicine is not for you. Because maybe that's what somebody has told them that they have to do. Maybe medicine is not for you. Your results are showing that this is your interest. Why have you considered doing this? Have you considered doing this? Would you like to do this? Would you like to do this? Would you like a career path? Because that's why we have things like career day as well. And then when you've talked to that child, and that child has seen reason that, oh, I thought I wanted to do medicine, but that's not what I want to do. I think what I want to do is sociology. That's the first step. So by the time you see that child has gotten to write WAEC, what you see is that child has written JAM, there's a higher chance that child is going to fail jam because the person is where they're supposed to be doing the things that they're supposed to do, and there's a certain level of interest in reading. And then you see that child will write that exam, they will do well. If they don't do well, there are lots of remedial, there are programs that you can get into. You get into school, you have more interest. I would say this anywhere that I was able to go through school almost seamlessly, because for every year that I spent in school, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the course that I was doing. I wasn't forced by anybody, and I was so happy to read. I was so happy to read.
You do it very well.
It was interesting for me.
I just to add to what you said, what you just finished saying, the thing is, we don't understand, let me use that term, we don't understand that by taking our job seriously and doing the right thing, we're solving future problems. When you do the right thing, you solve future problems. At the end of the day, if you're able to do your job as a teacher, to know that, because at the end, you have over 20 kids in your class. Every child is different. Yes. There are children that can learn very fast. There are children that are slow learners. There are children that are practical learners. You need to understand so that you can apply differentiation method. You'll be able to tell, okay, this child will do well here. Now, you talked about guidance counselor, and I'm laughing because we don't have that here in Nigeria. I am speaking from experience. Yeah. How do you go to a Nigerian school to apply to be a guidance counselor, and they tell you, I don't think we need it here.
What?
I don't think we need guidance counselor. Yeah, we don't need any this thing. Or you teach. Or you go to a school, apply as a guidance counselor, and they force you to go teach in the classroom when that is not what you're supposed to do.
How are you going to teach those children? When you're not passionate about what you're teaching? That's another problem.
You people don't get to have job satisfaction because they are being forced or coerced or cajoled into places where they don't want to be. I mean, look, there are kids that from childhood, they've started playing with irons, they started putting irons together, they started putting wires together, and you just know this is where this child's love is.
Start honing that skill on time. And that's why I like another system, that I have. When you're growing up outside, you have things like dance academies, football academies, music academies, film and school. Because at the level of, what our just one is, these children have already started going to such academies that, okay, so you want to do dance, you're very talented in dancing, you're going to dance, but you're going to learn the basic math and skills so that, you're literate to a certain level, but you're going to learn all these things, but we're going to start early to focus on the things that need to be focused on. Of course, we don't do that in Nigeria. I don't see, personally, and this is just my opinion, I don't see why anybody who is interested in dancing should be made to learn certain things, like there are certain courses that I don't think, business studies, there are some things that are not relevant for you. You're wasting your time. I don't see why somebody who wants to study medicine should be forced to read commerce. There's some things that, fine arts, geography, it is not your business.
I know.
And then with that time that you're spending teaching that child things that are not relevant, you could use that time to start, really start early, start young, to start grooming that.
And one of the boys actually love this whole wire connection thing. He's always handy. You go to his room, you see wires, old batteries, and you'll be wondering, what's this child doing with batteries? Do you know what that man said? He said, this one I'll send to university, this one I'll send to a technical college. Because at the end of the day, I cannot waste my money send the both of them to university. Why no? This one does not have any business in going to university.
And you do better at the technical college.
Because that at the time, you're being taught first-hand practical knowledge on what you're supposed to do and how to harness your skill. What is education in the first place?
That these government technical colleges, that's why I like them. A lot of people used to look down on them because, government schools and what. But I used to really, as a secondary school student, I used to admire them a lot because I saw the things that they created and I was like, wow, I wish I could do this. It's not the same physics that I'm reading that you're reading. What's different? Do you understand? But I see them creating things, and I understand that these guys are more practical because these are the people that really, these are the innovators that we need to start screaming. Yeah. And then from this place, you need to push these people straight to where they are learning, they are honing their skills. But then we get it all wrong in Nigeria. You carry that person that has learned, that likes wires like that to do that. You carry person and say, go and read medicine.
To read law.
Go and do law.
All right,
and
guys.
We're losing.
I just hold your thought there. We're going to go on a very quick way. We'll be right back.
Growing up as a little boy, we were told every day that we were the leaders of tomorrow. Good roads, stable power supply, good education, job opportunities, political inclusion, better healthcare, reduction of the cost of living were some of the things we were promised in tomorrow. We were so excited about the hope we had been fed with about tomorrow. But days went by, years went by, and tomorrow never came. Turned out there was never really a plan for tomorrow. It was all a lie to keep us in their mental slavery. Because with each day that goes by, I see my country being stripped of her glory. But we know better now. We are more aware now. It is time to take our country back from these hijackers who keep recycling themselves. If this tomorrow must come, we will have to create it ourselves. But this time, with someone we can trust. Someone who understands our pain. And so I call on every Nigerian youth. Come 2023, come out and vote. Because our vote is our power. When you vote, vote for a man we can trust. Vote for a breath of fresh air. Vote Atiku Abubakar for president.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Every Human on AtikuLive. And before we went on the break, we're looking at moral decadence and how it has affected our society and how well it really
is affecting our society.
Yeah, it's still affecting our society, and it's becoming a norm. The thing is, people are getting used to it, though. It's a normal thing. Getting used to being unethical, getting used to being very lackadaisical or careless about what you're supposed to be serious about. And it's been a problem. We've looked at the educational sector and the work, because it played a major work. The major work that it has played in our present society now. Let's look at another aspect that I consider quite important. The decline in parental authority and domestic values. We have had a gross decline in parental authority lately. I would say, I know someone will say Tiana has a problem with Gen Zs, but my dear, now this is not just the Gen Zs of the Gen Z's children. This is Gen Z's parenting. Gen Z parents at these days, you don't
Tiana
have
has
time.
a problem with Gen Zs.
True, you don't have a time for your kids. I don't know what kind of job you're doing that you go to pick your infant from school at 8 p.m. You don't have a time to groom your child. Your child doesn't even know you. You have female girls. You don't have time to sit down to tell them, without knowing for a fact that you are the first teacher at home. A parent is the first teacher of that child before the child goes out to school. It is what you instill in that child or what the child sees at home that the person exhibits in school.
True.
I have taught in the school before, and I had this child, Jamal. I think he did something when he went back home. And then he came back. Oh, no, that's not it. He did something in school. He hugged a female, his classmate. This is someone who is in pre-nursery. Hugged his classmate and gave her a kiss on her lip. And the teacher was worried. So the teacher called the mom after school and said, what kind of movies is this child watching? Does he watch cartoons? Who is his caregiver? What time? He said, no, the child is always with his nanny. Okay. Do you have time to watch the nanny? This is what your son did in school today. And she was like, no, the mother was so angry. The child saw it from the teacher. He picked it in school. It cannot be from the house. And when investigation was done, because it became a very serious problem. When investigations were done, we realized that this parent, both mother and father, are never at home. And this child is handed over to the caregiver who literally allows the child to be on his own. And she's just there watching whatever she's watching. And the child is seeing. At how old? 4 years.
Oh, wow.
And the child is watching. And kids pick up things very easily.
The things you expose them to. So if you're exposing them to a movie that has violence in it or a movie that
the
teaches
child
them
become
how
very
to
violent.
abuse women, that's what they're going to do.
And they grow up with this thing. So at the end of the day, parents have a lot of work. We can't be losing our domestic values. We've said it times without number. You can't say your girls should go to the kitchen and cook and your boys should go and watch TV. It's not even happening in this present day world. Both of them, both genders must be in the kitchen. Because
everybody
at the end,
it's all hands on deck.
Yes, it's a skill that they will learn, that they will use in future. It is what you instill in them that they go out to show out. I used to have a lecturer that said home training is the best training. No matter how bad a child will turn out to be, or no matter how bad the prayer group or the influence outside will be, the child will still remember where I'm coming from. But I don't think it's the same story. It's not
because
the same
there's nothing
story
to remember. There's nothing that's been given, nothing to remember. Everything was a blank space. It's just a blank space. You put the person out and say, go fend for yourself. And you forget that these people are the future of tomorrow. They're the people that are going to lead us tomorrow. So if you don't teach them the right things, we're going to have a composition, a society that is composed of delinquents, a society that just has the wrong set of people. And out of this wrong set of people, you're going to have people from there that are going to emerge leaders.
I mean, we've talked about parenting style. We've seen kids who have ventured into drugs under the watch of their parents, and they don't know. Both parents are not aware, and it worries me. Because your child, under your nose, under your watch, is doing drugs at the highest levels, and you're not aware.
Some parents don't even allow for their children to be corrected, even in other educational institutions. You're not allowing your children to be corrected.
Like
you're fighting the teachers.
True. Like I've had issues. I've had situations where I've been corrected by a neighbor, by somebody on the street, and the person literally told me, "Take me to your mother."
You can't do that anymore.
You can't do that anymore now.
I know that there's a reason why some of this. I mean, you have to find a balance, because then where they said the child is the child of the community, so everybody has a right to reprimand you. But now, because of a level of wokeness, people are going out and they're you can't touch my child, and that's okay, because somebody cannot touch your child. You cannot hit somebody's child. That's wrong. Those are the wrong things that we were doing back then. Or somebody speaks to your child, verbally abuses your child. These are things, because these people tend to cross the line, and they used to do it then, So I feel like it's better when somebody does this sort of thing, you tell the person, you correct the person with love, correct the person without abusing the person either physically or verbally, and report them to their parents. Well, that's the right thing.
True. IJ, we're talking about striking a balance here. Back in the days, a parent that has 5 children can tell you the 5 different attitudes of the 5 children. I've had issues where someone will come and say, "Oh, your daughter did this," and she'll say, "Which of them?" Because if it's this one, she didn't do it. If it's this one, she did it. Do you understand? So the parent, but it's not the same case we have now. It's not the same. It's not the same testimony now. They don't even know. Oh, he did it. Are you serious? So he can do something like that.
And some don't even agree. They always fight. But it's still a huge deal, because we're looking at how our institutions also contribute to this. I mean, we had this video that we watched, when we started the show. We're seeing these children that are doing so well. I mean, there's a cowbell competition. You're seeing children that are whiz kids, that are
debates,
smart.
competitions.
How much are they being given? 50,000, 100,000 for the grand prize winners. In my school, for
first class was given 5,000 in my school.
Benue, there was one that was giving 5,000. There was a letter giving 5,000 naira. And you have, places like Big Brother where you can get 100 million for, you can
just moving around and showing your body.
Yeah, you can just get 100 million just for doing that. And what do you expect in a country where we've shown them that money is everything? That's another societal breakdown.
Yes.
When you show people that money is a race to see who gets quick, who gets rich first, who gets more money, who has the most money, and then you
downplay on intelligence and intellectual capacity.
That's what I'm saying. In a society where we have all of this, there's Big Brother on this hand, there's first class on this hand, 20,000, 100 million.
Which one will you go for?
And that's the problem, because we do not encourage intelligence. We don't encourage people to do the right things, or to do things that are really
we're subjected to materialism.
That's what it is, because we've made it all about how much you have. How much do you have in your pocket? What can you show? The person with the most money buys their way out of it. Look at ASU. Look at professors. Do you know what it means to be a professor? To have gone through that, to have written books, to be an associate prof, move from being an associate prof to a full professor, and at the end of the day, they stayed home for how many months? They come and somebody was talking about how he was paid 50,000 naira. And what are you telling the person? Meanwhile, an influencer
is taking 2.5 million or 5 million,
that does not have a degree,
with an empty brain.
Nothing, that does not have any social value. Maybe it's social value, but any real value. Somebody that does not even have any reasonable thing to contribute, that cannot essentially contribute to nation building, contribute to, pushing the next generation, grooming people. Somebody that does not have any meaningful contribution is earning, that maybe 3x of that or 4 times that in less than a minute. That's the society we live in. How are we supposed to move forward? How are we not where we are, there's terrorism everywhere, there's kidnap, there's a brain drain. How can we not find ourselves in this situation where we prioritize the wrong things and we've lost our values culturally? Because now we're in a period of this acculturation where we're going to pick foreign values and norms, and we're inculcating this. We're becoming
fast and reliable on it,
becoming other people, bringing strange cultures into our land that doesn't even make sense. And we are seeing this complete breakdown. We are seeing what it is translating to. We are seeing that our youth 7-8-year-olds are now on TikTok. What are they doing on TikTok?
Parents are even encouraging this.
How can you be exposing yourself at that age? Exposing yourself.
Parents are even encouraging their kids on social media.
And you wonder why they have emotional breakdowns. Of course, they will have breakdowns because you're living your life at that age. You're exposing yourself when you've not even fully understood yourself. You're exposing yourself to criticism from people that don't even know you. Yeah. And then there's a lot of pressure on them to live in a certain way. We saw a video of a girl who was, in a compromising manner and how it went viral. And then they traced it to how she was, how she had a TikTok page. And you're seeing the TikTok page, you're seeing the kind of things that is being put up there. And you're just wondering, how a 15-year-old, what's this? Like, this is not your priority right now. This is not your priority. You
don't have any business doing this.
A 10-year-old is telling you, 10-year-old boy, I have to hustle. See, mommy, Uncle, what are you hustling at 10? What are you hustling? Your parents have not finished paying your school fees. What are you hustling?
We've lost it.
We've lost it. We've shifted the goalposts. We've shifted, and it's why we are here. Because even our leaders, we have people that have taught us that it's about money. When you see your parents going to collect 10,000 naira to vote, what does it tell you? That at the end of the day, it's about money. Because that's what we've made it about. We've made it about money. When you see them voting the wrong people, when you see the people that are supposed to, be upholding our values, you see them fighting and climbing fence. What does it tell you? We've taught this generation that are coming the wrong principles. We've taught them the wrong things, and the breakdown that we are seeing now is as a result of what failure of the society and government.
And then, thank God you added government at the end of the day, because I wanted to say the government played a major role in this societal breakdown and collapse. Because at the end of the day, we cannot, for a fact, say that the society just collapsed on its own. Everybody played a role. It was a complete indices. Everybody had their role to play. But the government did, the individuals did, the electors did. Everybody just had their role. But the thing is, it still boils. But that's why we are electing you. That's why we're voting for you. That's why, because we've seen that you can do this.
Somebody
you can help build it back.
This is what we need, because if the government played a role in the past. What have you done? Or because somebody gives them money. It's not the first time somebody will say. I heard somebody say, EFCC, what are they doing? I'm sure they'll put them on their payroll. They'll be paying them salary.
I saw a post that made.
That's wrong.
I just talking about EFCC. I saw a post that made round social media recently about the EFCC boss being arrested or reprimanded on social media. I'm like, okay, so these are the people for the same reason, which these are the people who are supposed to be enforcing
a lawmaker,
financial order.
Somebody who was aspiring to become a lawmaker in Kogi State, I think that was last week, was arrested for his involvement in advance
money
pay fraud.
laundering and
Do you understand? And you wonder why this is a problem, why this is a topic, because these are the people. These are the people that are going to go and lead us. These are the people that are going to lead. People who should, on a normal day, in a very sane society, be arrested, be behind bars. These are the people that are going to go and lead us. And that's where the problem is, because you have people like this. How can you have a lawmaker who is involved in advanced fee fraud? How do you expect him to fight against advanced fee fraud? How do you expect him to propound policies or formulate policies that are going to check fee fraud? How do you expect that he's going to push for the implementation of these policies?
You cannot give what you don't have. It's as simple as that.
And that's just one person.
You can give what you have.
And I'm saying that's just one person. So if you have a candidate or a candidate who is a boss to thugs, who endorses thugs, who uses thugs, then let's forget about it. Let's forget about security in Nigeria.
True.
Let's forget about it, because that person cannot fight insecurity. True. I'm not going to mention names, but I mean.
All right, guys, this is the much we can take for today. It's been beautiful. It's been amazing here in the studio. I've had fun talking about this, and it's something we will not stop talking about. We have to keep talking about it, because we would be held responsible.
We're all going to pay the price.
We're all going to pay the price. That's what I said. The mistake that you didn't correct yesterday will turn to a bigger mistake in future. So we are all going to be held responsible if we don't keep a befitting path for the younger generation to follow through. This is much we can take. My name is Tiana Welbasi. I see you tomorrow. Have a beautiful, beautiful day.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. As usual, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Until then, it's bye.